All right, let's talk about a word you hear all the time: globalization. It sounds like a big, complicated buzzword, right? But really, it's this invisible force that's shaping, well, everything, from huge global events right down to what's in your pocket right now. So let's get into it. I mean, just take a second and look around you. Think about your morning. Where did that coffee come from? What about the phone in your hand or even the t-shirt on your back? Chances are they all started their journey in completely different parts of the world. So how did they all end up with you in the same room? The one-word answer is globalization. It's the engine connecting our everyday lives to this huge global system. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to nail down what globalization really is. Then, we'll see how it's changed the rules of the game on the world stage. We'll even zoom in on a real-world example with Malaysia's balancing act. And finally, we'll talk about what all this means for our shared future. All right, so first up, what on earth is globalization? Let's get a clear definition so we're all on the same page. So, at its heart, globalization is really just about one thing: connection. It's about stuff, money, products, ideas, even people moving across borders way faster and easier than ever before. And it's not just about buying and selling. It's also about governments making deals and, the incredible technology that makes it all possible in the first place. And we can actually slice this into four key parts to understand it better. First, there's the economic piece. That's the one we all see. Your t-shirt traveling from a cotton field to a factory and finally to your home. Then you've got the political side. Think of these as the rules of the road, the global institutions that try to keep things orderly. Then there's the social and cultural part. People moving, ideas spreading, which changes our societies. And holding it all together? That's the technological dimension. It's the engine that makes everything happen at like lightning speed. Okay, so what are the consequences of wiring up the whole planet like this? Well, it's way bigger than just changing how you shop online. It completely shakes up who holds power in the world. Just look at this massive shift. For a long, long time, the world order was pretty straightforward. You had a few major Western powers pretty much calling the shots. That was then. But now, globalization has totally flipped the script. We're in what's called a multipolar world. That just means there are multiple centers of power. Emerging economies like China and India are now huge players on the stage, which makes everything, well, a lot more complicated. So, with all these new players in the game, how do you stop it from turning into a total free-for-all? Well, that's where these big global institutions come in. They're kind of like the referees. You've got the UN trying to keep the peace, the WTO setting trade rules, and the IMF and World Bank keeping an eye on the global economy. The whole idea is to create a rules-based order, basically a set of guidelines to keep things from getting too chaotic. But, and this is a big but, there's a flip side to all this connection. Those same superhighways that bring us our phones and coffee, they can also carry risk. And when everyone is so tangled together, a problem that starts in one place can spread across the entire globe in no time. I mean, take climate change, for example. Pollution from one country doesn't just stop at the border, right? It affects the atmosphere for every single one of us. It's a classic shared problem that demands a shared solution. Or think about global pandemics. We've all just lived through this. A virus pops up in one part of the world, and thanks to global travel, it can be on every continent within days. Our incredible connectivity suddenly becomes a vulnerability. And it's the exact same story with money. A financial crisis that starts in one country's stock market can trigger a chain reaction around the world, affecting people's jobs and retirement funds thousands of miles away. It's all connected. Okay, so we've talked about these huge abstract ideas. But what does this actually look like on the ground? Let's zoom in and use a real-world case study: Malaysia. It's a fantastic example of how a country has to play this complicated global game. So if you look at Malaysia's economy, it has gone all in on globalization. It's deeply, deeply plugged into the world system. Its whole economy is geared towards exporting goods. It relies heavily on international trade, and it's a crucial piece of the puzzle for global supply chains. Think everything from computer chips to palm oil. And this strategy, it's been a massive engine for their growth. But that creates a really tricky diplomatic situation, right? How does a country like Malaysia stay afloat when it's stuck between giants like the US and China? Well, they do something really smart. Instead of picking a side, they practice what's called strategic hedging. Basically, it means they try to stay friends with everybody. They keep strong ties with the US, with China, with Europe. They keep all their options open. It's a clever survival strategy. Get the best from all worlds without getting dragged into their fights. And they're not trying to do this all by themselves. Malaysia has been a big part of building a team with its neighbors. By being a leader in groups like ASEAN or joining huge trade agreements like the RCEP, they're banding together. It gives them a louder voice and a bit of a shield against the pressures from the bigger global powers. Of course, there's a catch. Being this plugged into the world means that when the global economy gets a cold, Malaysia gets the flu. It makes them vulnerable. And it can also make problems at home worse, like the gap between the rich and poor, or between those who have internet access and those who don't. The real challenge for them, and for so many countries, is making sure all the benefits of globalization don't just go to a few people at the top. All right, let's pull back from the Malaysia example for a second. Their story is super interesting, but it's not just about them. It's a perfect snapshot of the tightrope walk that pretty much every country has to do in today's world, and there are some big takeaways in there for everyone. When you boil it all down, you get to a quote like this: "This new world is a double-edged sword. It offers incredible opportunities, but also comes with some serious risks. The key to success is being able to adapt, to balance your relationships carefully. And here's the crucial part. As tough as it is to be connected, trying to go it alone, to be isolated, is usually a much, much bigger risk." So I'll leave you with this one final question to chew on. In a world where everything and everyone is tangled together, where problems cross borders in an instant and power isn't held by just one or two countries, who's really in charge? Who's steering this ship? It's probably the biggest question of our time. Thanks for diving into this with me.